Road with Norah O'Donnell and Gayle King in New York. President Obama is about to speak at the White House. He will respond to this morning's Supreme Court decision legalizing same-sex marriage across the United States.
The 5-4 ruling struck down laws in 14 states that limited a marriage to one man and one woman. Jan Crawford is outside the Supreme Court, where supporters of the ruling have been celebrating for the past hour. Jan, good morning.
Good morning. You know, it is an historic day at the court for the country, but no more so than here for this celebration at the Supreme Court. The minute the word reached these courthouse steps, the people here, and there are hundreds and hundreds of people here, erupted in celebration because this is a moment that supporters of gay rights have fought for a generation. The ruling that same-sex marriage would be legal across the country, the states could not deny gays and lesbians the right to same-sex marriage, but also the language in this historic opinion by Justice Kennedy that gays and lesbians cannot be treated differently on this issue from anyone else, that they have to be treated equally under the Constitution when it comes to the fundamental right to marry. So there's going to be a crowd gathered here, I'm sure, for the hours to come, being here, celebrating this ruling, being able to say for history that they were here watching history being made, because this is something, again, that the movement has fought for and hoped for and believed they would get. They firmly believed that Justice Kennedy would join the liberals to write this ruling just as he did.
All right, Jan, and now the President of the United States addressing those in the Rose Garden. Here now, the President.
Good morning. Our nation was founded on a bedrock principle that we are all created equal. The project of each generation is to bridge the meaning of those founding words with the realities of changing times. A never-ending quest to ensure those words ring true for every single American. Progress on this journey often comes in small increments. Sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back, propelled by the persistent effort of dedicated citizens. And then sometimes there are days like this, when that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt. This morning, the Supreme Court recognized that the Constitution guarantees marriage equality. In doing so, they've reaffirmed that all Americans are entitled to the equal protection of the law, that all people should be treated equally, regardless of who they are or who they love. This decision will end the patchwork system we currently have. It will end the uncertainty hundreds of thousands of same-sex couples face from not knowing whether their marriage, legitimate in the eyes of one state, will remain if they decide to move or even visit another. This ruling will strengthen all of our communities by offering to all loving same-sex couples the dignity of marriage across this great land. In my second inaugural address, I said that if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well. It is gratifying to see that principle enshrined into law by this decision. This ruling is a victory for Jim Obergefell and the other plaintiffs in the case. It's a victory for gay and lesbian couples who have fought so long for their basic civil rights. It's a victory for their children, whose families will now be recognized as equal to any other. It's a victory for the allies and friends and supporters who spent years, even decades, working and praying for change to come. And this ruling is a victory for America. This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free. My administration has been guided by that idea. It's why we stopped defending the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, and why we were pleased when the court finally struck down a central provision of that discriminatory law. It's why we ended Don't Ask, Don't Tell. From extending full marital benefits to federal employees and their spouses, to expanding hospital visitation rights for LGBT patients and their loved ones, we've made real progress in advancing equality for LGBT Americans in ways that were unimaginable not too long ago. I know change for many of our LGBT brothers and sisters must have seemed so slow for so long. But compared to so many other issues, America's shift has been so quick. I know that Americans of goodwill continue to hold a wide range of views on this issue. Opposition in some cases has been based on sincere and deeply held beliefs. All of us who welcome today's news should be mindful of that fact. Recognize different viewpoints. Revere our deep commitment to religious freedom. But today should also give us hope that on the many issues with which we grapple, often painfully, real change is possible. Shifts in hearts and minds is possible. And those who have come so far on their journey to equality have a responsibility to reach back and help others join them. Because for all our differences, we are one people, stronger together than we could ever be alone. That's always been our story. We are big and vast and diverse, a nation of people with different backgrounds and beliefs, different experiences and stories, but bound by our shared ideal that no matter who you are or what you look like, how you started off, or how and who you love, America's a place where you can write your own destiny. We are a people who believe that every single child is entitled to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. There's so much more work to be done to extend the full promise of America to every American. But today we can say, in no uncertain terms, that we've made our union a little more perfect. That's the consequence of a decision from the Supreme Court, but more importantly, it is a consequence of the countless small acts of courage of millions of people across decades who stood up, who came out, who talked to parents who loved their children no matter what. Folks who were willing to endure bullying and taunts and stayed strong and came to believe in themselves and who they were. And slowly made an entire country realize that love is love. What an extraordinary achievement. What a vindication of the belief that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. What a reminder of what Bobby Kennedy once said about how small actions can be like pebbles being thrown into a still lake, and ripples of hope cascade outwards and change the world. Those countless, often anonymous heroes, they deserve our thanks. They should be very proud. America should be very proud. Thank you.
The President of the United States eloquently reminding us, speaking from the heart, that this has been a long struggle, but the struggle comes like a thunderbolt on a day that makes all the sacrifice worthwhile.
He said sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but America is a place you can write your own destiny. Today, we say in no uncertain terms, we have made our union a little more perfect today.
Yes, that all people are treated equally regardless of who they are and who they love. Clearly a historic day, and imagine, I think as the President ended, how this will affect people's personal lives, their deepest desires and hopes, and how they feel about their loved ones, and that's a really important change today.
No, and hashtag Love Wins is the #1 hashtag on Twitter right now.
And as the President said,
yeah, the President saying a lot, and Jan Crawford is there as we're looking at these pictures of everyone celebrating outside of the Supreme Court. That's where Jan Crawford has been all morning and is now speaking with one of the plaintiffs who is one of the heroes that the President just mentioned. Jan?
Yes, I mean, we're here joined by Jim Obergefell. He is the man who fought this battle all the way to the Supreme Court to have your marriage recognized in the state of Ohio in the courtroom today.
Yes.
So what was it like when you heard that? And what did the President say?
The President just called to say, you know, thank you for your fight. Thank you for everything you've done for the country. We've taken a great step forward today, and it's due to people like you. And the courtroom was just, when my name was read, when our case number was read, I just jumped up in my seat a little bit and immediately started crying.
You started crying.
I did.
Just when you heard Justice Kennedy's words from the opinion.
Yes.
What did that mean to you? What did that feel like to you?
It just felt, finally, I am an American, and just that I could finally relax, knowing that the state of Ohio can never erase our marriage from John's death certificate.
Because that's what you wanted. You wanted to have his name on that death certificate.
Correct. That was all we wanted, respect and dignity.
And did you feel when you heard Justice Kennedy's words and that opinion, what jumped out at you that he said?
Right now,
it's a blur.
It is a blur. Everything from that moment is a blur.
What about the Vice President? What did he say? Do you remember that?
He called me his hero.
His hero.
That's what I remember. Yes.
And, you know, the President, when he spoke to you, said he had also words, you know, it shows your case, when you've gone through this case, when you're in that courtroom hearing Justice Kennedy, were you thinking of your partner?
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking of John the entire time. I was playing with our wedding rings that are fused together in my hand, and just thinking about him the entire time.
All right. So this has been a historic day for you and millions of Americans across the country. We appreciate your being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Our coverage will continue throughout the day on the CBS station and on our 24-hour digital network, CBSN. Watch it at cbsnews.com/live. Many of you will now return to CBS This Morning. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Charlie Rose with Nora O'Donnell, CBS News, and Gail King, CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.